Hello, white people. Alright, so a couple months ago, I don't know exactly, but I took a flight on American Airlines, and I just got an email from them. A clean that lasts. Sustained mindfuck virus protection. A breakthrough coating for killing mindfuck viruses on surfaces. American Airlines, One World. American Airlines Clean Commitment. We've enhanced our cleaning procedures and added new protocols to reduce risks when you fly. Here's what we're doing. We're proud to announce that American Airlines will be the first airline to start treating our planes with SurfaceWise 2, an EPA-approved antiviral solution in the coming months. This breakthrough coating provides enhanced protection by the sustained killing of 99% of viruses, including mindfuck viruses on surfaces. How it works. When sprayed on surfaces, SurfaceWise 2 forms an invisible, long-lasting barrier that physically breaks down and kills virus cells. A similar type of solution is already being used in hospitals due to its proven effectiveness to reduce the spread of infection. The highly durable coating remains effective even on high-touch surfaces like seats, tray tables, and armrests, and through frequent cleanings, which we do after every flight. All around clean. Our clean commitment is our promise that we're taking bold measures to help ensure your well-being when you travel with us. With the addition of industry-leading products like SurfaceWise 2, you can travel with peace of mind.
American is the first airline to start treating our planes with SurfaceWise, an EPA-approved breakthrough coating that provides enhanced protection by sustained killing of 99.9% of viruses, including coronaviruses, on surfaces. We'll be rolling out the treatment across our fleet in the coming months. That's our clean commitment to you.
My first thought was, we're going to create superbugs. But then I looked it up, and I guess you only create superbugs with fungus and bacteria. You can't create superbugs. Well, from what I read on the internet anyway, I don't know if you can or you cannot create superbugs from antivirals. From what I understand about viruses is that they're pretty fragile, and you should be able to get rid of them using just plain soap and water. And if they have some sort of a lipid barrier, meaning like a fatty layer, then you use hot water to dissolve that lipid layer, right? At this point in time, the only thing that we can do right now is go through what is established science about viruses and see if there are any inconsistencies. What to know about viruses. Viruses are microscopic organisms that exist almost everywhere on Earth. They can infect animals, plants, fungi, and even bacteria. Sometimes a virus can cause a disease so deadly that it is fatal. Other viral infections trigger no noticeable reaction. A virus may also have one effect on one type of organism, but a different effect on another. This explains how a virus that affects a cat may not affect a dog. Viruses vary in complexity. They consist of genetic material, RNA or DNA, surrounded by a coat of protein, lipid, fat, or glycoprotein. Viruses cannot replicate without a host. Viruses cannot replicate without a host, so they're classified as parasitic. Okay. How do you get viruses on surfaces and you have to use this newfangled doodad to clean them off? They are considered the most abundant biological entity on the planet. Fast facts on viruses. Viruses are living organisms that cannot replicate without a host cell. They are considered the most abundant biological entity on the planet. Diseases caused by viruses include rabies, herpes, and Ebola. Almost every ecosystem on Earth contains viruses. Before entering a cell, viruses exist in a form known as virions. During this phase, they are roughly 1/100th of the size of a bacterium and consist of 2 or 3 distinct parts: genetic material, either DNA or RNA, a protein coat or capsid, which protects the genetic information. A lipid envelope is sometimes present around the protein coat when the virus is outside of the cell. Viruses do not contain a ribosome, so they cannot make proteins. This makes them totally dependent on their host. They are the only type of microorganism that cannot reproduce without a host cell. After contacting a host cell, a virus will insert genetic material into the host and take over that host's functions. After infecting the cell, the virus continues to reproduce. but it produces more viral protein and genetic material instead of the usual cellular products. It is this process that earns viruses the classification of parasite. Viruses have different shapes and sizes, and they can be categorized by their shapes. They can be categorized by their shapes. These may be helical. The tobacco mosaic virus has a helix shape. Oh, what is this? Icosahedral. Near spherical viruses. Most animal viruses are like this. Envelope. Some viruses cover themselves with a modified section of cell membrane, creating a productive lipid envelope. These include the influenza virus and HIV. Other shapes are possible, including non-standard shapes that combine both helical and icosahedral forms. Sources. Viruses do not leave fossil remains, so they are difficult to trace through time. Molecular techniques are used to compare the DNA and RNA of viruses and find out more about where they came from. 3 competing theories try to explain the origin of viruses. Regressive or reduction hypothesis. Viruses started as independent organisms that become parasites. Over time, they shed genes that did not help them parasitize, and they become entirely dependent on the cells that they inhabit. Progressive or escape hypothesis. Viruses evolved from sections of DNA or RNA that escape from the genes of larger organisms. In this way, they gain the ability to become independent and move between cells. Virus first hypothesis. Viruses evolved from complex molecules of nucleic acid and proteins either before or at the same time as the first cells appeared on Earth billions of years ago. There's more. Transmission. A virus exists only to reproduce. When it reproduces, its offspring spread to new cells and new hosts. The makeup of a virus affects its ability to spread. Viruses may transmit from person to person and from mother to child during pregnancy or delivery. They can spread through touch, exchanges of saliva, coughing or sneezing, sexual contact, contaminated food or water, insects that carry them from one person to another. Some viruses can live on an object for some time, so if a person touches an item with the virus on their hands, the next person can pick up that virus by touching the same object. The object is known as a fomite. As the virus replicates in the body, it starts to affect the host. After a period known as the incubation period, symptoms may start to show. What happens if viruses change? When a virus spreads, it can pick up some of its host's DNA and take it to another cell or organism. If the virus enters the host's DNA, it can infect the wider genome by moving around a chromosome or to a new chromosome. This can have long-term effects on a person. In humans, it may explain the development of hemophilia and muscular dystrophy. This interaction with host DNA can also cause viruses to change. Some viruses only affect one type of being, say birds. If a virus that normally affects birds does by chance enter a human, and if it picks up some human DNA, this can produce a new type of virus that may be more likely to affect humans in future. This is why scientists are concerned about rare viruses and that spread from animals to people. Viral diseases. Viruses cause many human diseases. This includes smallpox, the common cold, and different types of flu, measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, and shingles, hepatitis, herpes and cold sores, polio, rabies, Ebola, and Hanta fever, HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, dengue fever, Zika, and Epstein-Barr. Some viruses, such as human papillomavirus, HPV, can lead to cancer. What are friendly viruses? Just as there are friendly bacteria that exist in our intestines and help us digest food, humans may also carry friendly viruses that help them protect against dangerous bacteria, including Escherichia coli. Did I say that right? Escherichia coli or E. coli. When the body's immune system detects a virus, it starts to respond. To enable cells to survive the attack, the process called RNA interface breaks down the viral genetic material. The immune system produces special antibodies that can bind to viruses, making them non-infectious. The body sends T cells to destroy the virus. Most viral infections trigger a protective response from the immune system, but viruses such as HIV and neurotropic viruses have ways of evading the immune system's defenses. Neurotropic viruses infect nerve cells. They are responsible for diseases such as polio, rabies, mumps, and measles. They can affect the structure of the central nervous system with delayed progressive effects that can be severe. Treatment and drugs. Bacterial infections can be treated with antibiotics, but viral infections require either vaccinations to prevent them in the first place or antiviral drugs to treat them. Sometimes the only possible treatment is to provide symptom relief. Antiviral drugs have been developed largely in response to the AIDS pandemic. These drugs do not destroy the pathogen, but they inhibit their development and slow down the progress of the disease. Viruses are fragile. I just don't understand. Soap and water, rubbing alcohol, sunlight, these are all things that kill viruses when they're outside of the body. And when viruses are inside of the body, there is no cure. Your immune system has to take care of the virus. And the things that you can do, you can take something like an acyclovir, something that's going to slow down the progression of a virus. But even with bacteria, there's no cure for bacterial infection. Your body has to do all the work. Your immune system does all the work. You take these medications to assist your immune system. And when they start introducing these really weird chemicals into the environment, thinking that they're helping people, this stuff is going to kill viruses on surfaces. But what's going to happen is it's going to kill off our normal flora, and normal flora is the bacteria, the fungus, and other organisms that live in and on our bodies that prevent pathogenic, opportunistic infections. And I don't understand why they're putting this crap in the airplanes. If you know anything about hospitals decided that they weren't going to go stay with soap and water, I don't know how many years ago, and all of a sudden they decided that they needed antivirals and antifungals and antibacterials, and what they did was they created superbugs. And so now we have a lot of really ugly organisms in our environment, in hospitals, that are almost impossible to heal from. All right, white people, that's the damage for now. I hope this wasn't too boring. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.